So I convinced one of my favorite designers, James McDonald, to help me with some of the finer UI details for in-flight. Things like shadows, borders, empty states, all of the little details that together make for a well-crafted experience. And we recorded the entire thing so that you can easily follow along. So without further ado, let's dive in. So I'm working on this new startup called In-Flight, right? And I kind of like the idea of just pulling back the curtain, doing as much of it in public as possible. And I pinged James, not one time, probably like 7 or 8 times, just like, come on, man, like, look at my stuff, like, help me make it better, you know? And he finally agreed. And the idea is really just to get super nitty gritty, detailed, jump into like the finer details of UI, basically. And James has long been one of my favorite visual designers. And so I'm trying to kind of just learn and ask questions. And as I go through it and just see like, okay, where can we make this better? What ideas does this spark? So there's maybe a few things that we can talk about. Like I want to get into shadows, maybe empty states, some like dark light mode, light mode stuff, but we'll kind of just wing it. For really quick context, what I'm going to be walking through is a product called In-Flight. And it is a way to easily share whatever you're working on as a designer and get feedback from the team. And everything's automatically organized. You can do video comments, all kinds of different stuff. And the two main surface areas that I'm kind of going to be showing is one, what I was just kind of walking through is like this update view. When you share your work, what does it look like? Like these are all like interactive prototypes, for instance. And then the other main screen that I kind of want to jam on a little bit is this project feed. So like if you grab an In-Flight link and paste it into Slack, we're automatically organizing all of this into this timeline of updates. So you can easily see where you're at, have an artifact for different people on your team to find stuff, that kind of a thing. So that's the bulk of the core UI. And I'm going to bounce around in Figma a bunch. And James is going to bounce around and we're kind of just going to see where it takes us. Real quick message, and then we can jump back into it. AI is making it a lot easier to contribute to the In-Flight code base. So I'm knocking out polish tickets all the time. And now AI agents inside of Raycast make that easier than ever. Like, let's say that I see something that I want to fix. In a single hotkey, I can launch a cursor background agent, add a screenshot or any context that's needed, and then manage the entire process directly inside of Raycast. And you can ship code as quickly as it would take you to type up a new issue in Linear. It's a big deal for designers, and you can start using it today. Just head to dive.club/Raycast. All right, here's the thing. You don't need another dashboard. What you need to do is to talk to customers. So I want to introduce you to Genway AI. You can think of it kind of like vibe researching to validate your ideas quickly. Just draft your questions, select an ICP, and then their AI agent runs interviews on your behalf by pulling from a panel of global participants. I mean, you could literally set it up in the morning and get actionable insights by lunchtime. It's validation at your fingertips, and you can try it out free for 14 days. Just head to dive.club/Genway to get started. That's GENWAY. Okay, now on to the episode.
Yeah.
To start, I kind of want to jump right into shadows, which actually was a Twitter request even. So let's see here. Maybe I'm just going to I'll take control here. I'll just give you like a quick crash course of what I have right now, and then we can kind of just talk about it. So I'm trying to nail light mode and dark mode, and this is all like themable, right? Inside of Figma. So I have it all set up with modes. I even have, let's see, does this show my screen? Okay, perfect. So like, yeah. I have like different variables, right? And it's kind of goofy, even a little bit more context, I guess, for people is I would never have done this level of systematizing things in the current stage of the product. But all these AI tools are so freaking good when you have like these shared tokens between Figma and code. And so I've been really trying to kind of figure it out for light and dark mode because I can just build it myself, which is dope. And then 2, it makes things like Figma MCP really valuable too. Can you still see my screen, or did it just flash to the background image?
No, I can still see it. Still good.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So what I have currently done is I actually have so I'm going to find it really quickly. I have a shadow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I have a shadow thing here, and it's basically layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. And then you can see I have, how do I expand this Figma? Okay. I have a shadow for light mode and dark mode with just basically different opacities. And I've taken those and I've built out these styles here. We can get rid of these. And then for each one of the layers, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, etc., I have this little guy here with the different opacity values. So I get that out of the box, and then I can just tweak the numbers. So what that gives me, is this. And I wouldn't consider myself a shadow expert at all. So I kind of just want to hear some of your, like, how would you do this? And we can take that as generally as we want. And I'll probably maybe like break apart these styles even, so we can kind of tweak them. But something that I was kind of curious is like, how often do you do, like, I've been playing with this like negative spread on the shadows. Is that, did I get that? I might have even just stole that from you or Derek or somebody. I'm not even sure.
I definitely stole it from Derek because I don't know. I just feel like it gives it a far more like natural, so a far more kind of natural light source when it's almost like projecting a shadow, whether it's on like a container or a, like a drop down menu or a kind of pop over or something like that. But I don't know. I just think like you can really get creative with it when it comes to like much larger shadows. So like obviously maybe on this one you could probably get away with. Let me just.
I'm going to switch over to your scene.
Oh yeah,
so take the reins.
So I think like another thing I noticed was like, I don't know if you intentionally done this or not, but like you have like the stroke and it's set to like, so one thing that I do and I try my best to do all like whenever I'm designing shadows is to make sure like, and devs don't come at me because I'm not sure how to implement this, but like whenever I'm designing like shadows, I always make sure like if it's like a white container like this, like my number one rule is to like always have like some, so even I don't even have like a stroke in there. Like I would always like add like a 1 pixel spread, like maybe like this. Let me just see, so that whenever you start stacking like other shadows underneath that or on top of that, that sort of layer then bleeds through the rest of those, the rest of those sort of kind of blurred shadows, and again, there's probably a million different ways. Like obviously you've totally done it a different way there than I would do it, but
that was a question I had though, because it's like in Figma you can do the inner shadow. I would never do center. I don't know how to do that in CSS, but like you can do the inner shadow, or sorry, the inner border, outer border, or use the spread. And I really have been kind of going back and forth. Like I again, I'm trying to kind of do things in a way that's just really easy and repeatable. Like I don't want to have to make those manual changes every single time. I really just want to build it in code once and be able to reference it. And
100%. Like
I don't know what the best way to do it is.
And I feel like there's definitely been times in projects where like I've had to do that. Like obviously at Clerk, when I was there, we obviously had like a specific sort of shadow set that we used across like the product and the website and things like that. And I feel like, obviously it's probably how you should do it. But for me, I just like more control over the actual design of the shadows for their specific use cases. So for example, on a button, like, you could probably have a far more kind of simpler shadow treatment, whether compared to something like maybe like a drop down or like a pop over or something like that, where you might have more sort of kind of more kind of difficult or not difficult, but like more complex kind of shadow treatments, you know. So for example, like stacking shadows like together with negative spread, just to achieve obviously a far greater kind of
looks like I have like 5
on the container.
I have 5 stacked effects in this last one here. I don't, that doesn't even really feel like a lot to me. I'm like, maybe you'd even do more. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like a lot of people ask me this on Twitter and stuff as well, where, you know, like, how do you achieve the shadows and stuff like that? But honestly, it's like a lot of trial and error. Like, for example, like, this is such a good like way to set it up. I feel like just like setting up like a kind of scale of like the lowest sort of shadow treatment here to how, like, you know, a kind of much larger shadow treatment like over on the right hand side. Like, obviously, you know, use cases for that are would vary depending on like your product or whatever, but I feel like that's such a good like sort of starting point, you know, to mess around. And I feel like it is trial and error. There's no real you know, there's no real sort of kind of benchmark to doing it. I feel like, but for me, like when I first seen these, I was like, Rid's actually using the solid the solid stroke treatment.
Wah, wah.
And I was like, oh no.
Well, yeah, okay, so how often are you changing? Like, I'm about to take this over for a second. So let's look at it through like the lens of a component. So I've tweaked some of your designs from last time, which is a separate thing we can talk about. I've been trying to figure out
like them.
I don't know. I started, the more I played with it, I kind of wanted to get something that was like a little bit crispier on the edges. I think this.
I noticed that 0.5.
Yeah, that was like a change. Like we had all these inner shadows. What I did keep last time, this is a rabbit trail. I'm getting sidetracked, but I did keep your gradient, which I really liked. I actually brought it over here. I decreased the opacity a little bit, but I brought over that gradient there to give, I can never remember if it's concave or convex, one of that, trying to create that feel. But something that I've been playing with, let's actually see if I can just hover. If I open up a Figma, like a prototype window, can you see this?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm like, I have like these hover states baked in a little bit. I think what I'm doing is changing the stroke. Like that's part of something that makes me, I'm not nervous, but I guess I'm just more like curious about like, how often are you changing the stroke contrast in something like a button component on hover? And then you're just going into that top like spread shadow layer and increasing the opacity? Is that pretty common, or is that not something that you do that much, and maybe you're just worrying about it on the fill level?
Yeah, I don't really change. Like if I've got like a stroke on a button, so for example, I feel like the treatments for both light mode and dark mode are like, it's always like an interesting discussion, because like for me, I just always like more control over like the actual style of the button rather than being constrained by, you know, like having the same shadow treatments for both, if that makes sense. So like,
when you say both, are you talking about the different types of buttons or the states within one type?
So both light mode and dark mode, like obviously you probably share like the same shadow. Well, I don't know actually. Let me see.
It's the same shadow, just different opacity.
Exactly. So I feel like, I don't know, like I just like more control, and I just always feel like in dark mode it's just a totally, like I think we spoke about that last time. Like
we did. This is my attempt at like implementing.
yeah, for sure. And honestly, like I know it's a bit of a pain, you know, to like implement like totally different styles, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, I do feel like, you know, dark mode just requires that little bit extra sort of like detail where you know, I just feel like it doesn't fully translate from like light mode to dark mode, like the styles, you know. Like I feel like you do have to add that extra little bit extra detail, you know.
What would the detail be? Like, let's get really specific for a second, because
mm-hmm.
like all I've done, if we crack this open, I don't know why I have all these hidden layers, is because of that variable that I'm using, it's just decreasing the opacity. So like this is 16% in dark mode, and in light mode, I believe it's 4%. 4%. Okay. So you would go beyond, like, would you change the actual
middle here? Sorry. I couldn't see your shadow there, just because they were bottom right.
Yeah. So,
sorry, say that again.
So basically, how much would you change? Like, are you saying that you would change in like the Y, blur, maybe even the spread values, like that would change from light to dark mode?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think like,
okay.
You know what?
Okay.
I think it, again.
Let's play with it then. Like, what would you, looking at these buttons right now, which feels, maybe neither one of them do.
So like, this is what I was
closer, and then where would you go?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, once I've seen the buttons and you took like, I really love how this blue looks, by the way, on the sort of background and like the greys that you're using. I feel like it just works really well. But I mean, like, you know, I think like a really good example of this was, I can't remember if it was in Clerk. Yeah, it might have been Clerk, where we actually had like, obviously we were using buttons in the product, which was predominantly, you know, we just focused on like the sort of light mode UI at first, and then, you know, one of the first kind of changes that we made when we introduced like the dark mode stuff was like, on the Clerk buttons, we had like this sort of solid stroke, like totally going against everything that I just said like 5 minutes ago. But we had like a solid sort of like dark blue, or I think it was dark grey maybe, stroke on it. And then, you know, obviously we introduced like the dark UI, which then created this like weird blurriness around the edge of the button. So I can't remember how it was implemented. I wouldn't be able to tell you, but like it was one of the changes like I really wanted to make, was like we need to get the button on dark mode without the stroke, so it just like appears. So like, for example, like let me just drag these out so the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch to your scene anyway.
Oh yeah,
let you take the wheel, Captain.
Yeah, so like you have, let me have a look here. So you have like obviously your stroke here, and on this one, yeah. So you just have like the white stroke. Yeah. So basically, exactly what you've done there, like we had like that similar sort of pattern where, you know, on light mode, this naturally needs some sort of like contrast stroke on this button here on light mode. But in light mode, we did that exact thing, where this is probably this is definitely a far more kind of clever way you've done it. Like I basically had like this, I think it was like a gradient stroke on like our buttons, and I just like total oversight from me, because I just assumed like this button will be able to use this button throughout like the dark mode and the light mode version. But like I said, once we started introducing the dark mode version, we encountered like this sort of weird blurriness of like, I think I had like an outer stroke on like the button that just like, let me just like detach this.
Yeah, break it, man. Break all the things.
To give you like an example.
Interesting.
You know, like I had like something like, this is a terrible example, but like, you know, something like that where, you know, when you zoom out, it just kind of looks blurry on the outside. So I think like, I mean, that's just like a really simple sort of like example, but you know, I that's exactly the way I would do it, you know, going forward now after learning that. Is, you know, I think it's important to have the flexibility there to have like obviously your sort of like your high contrast kind of stroke on light mode, and then obviously utilize the sort of the white stroke on dark mode. Again, contrast. You don't really want to have that weird blurriness going on. Like obviously, yeah.
Okay, I like that, and that makes more sense than to take what I'm using for the stroke and move that to the. I guess you could do it either way, probably. I'm not sure what the pros and cons are. Which one's the spread and which one's the stroke?
Yeah, I think for spread, honestly, don't quote me on this, but I feel like it's an implementation thing. Like, I think it's much easier, and maybe someone in the chat will be able to like tell us. But I feel like the 1 pixel spread is a lot easier to implement than strokes. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, that's just how I would build out the shadows on buttons, and that's how I build out shadows on buttons, is using that stroke, especially on this is me like speaking specifically for maybe like a light mode button like this, for example. Like the outer border here would like predominantly be like a 1 pixel stroke, and then just so that the shadows underneath, like I see that you've got like a few, let me see, you've got a couple of shadows underneath that. I just like to utilize like the opacity of the spread, just so that those shadows like bleed underneath that. So if I remove like the stroke, I'd probably have something like this. Unless you could probably put the.
I've went all in on half pixels.
Yeah, so like, let me drag this.
Yeah, I was about to say, perfect. Let's put it side by side.
And like, it's probably pretty hard to tell on stream, but you see how like this, like it's so subtle. Like we could probably show another example of like a drop down or something like that. But like, you see how like this on this version, like the shadows underneath it, like just bleed through, like they bleed through like the original sort of kind of pixel stroke. And I see people doing that all the time, and I just think it just gives it a far better, like the stroke is just much more kind of predominant, and
it gets muddy when you put them side by side like this. We got to be really zoomed in, but there's a slight muddiness now at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, you could get away with that, no problem. But like,
no disclaimers. Perfection is the goal.
Yeah. So I think like, and that same treatment, I apply that across everything. Like I noticed, like, let me show you another good example.
Yeah, do
this.
Yeah,
I think like here, for example, like, so you've got like the stroke on here, and it merges like right here, and it almost looks like this grey
disappears.
It's just like, it disappears into like the background there. If you apply that same treatment on that button, you get every part of the UI underneath that container will just bleed through. So like, let me see how this. Let me mess about.
I've been really struggling with this, by the way, because sometimes that UI, it could be anything, like it could be a dark mode prototype. And so whenever I use opacity for the border, it's made it like it just feels like the border is really intense at the top, and then like kind of almost dissipates underneath. I've had this issue with other products too. I don't really love where I'm at yet.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, I wish I'd copy and pasted that, but whatever. So like, yeah, I just think I know what you mean. Like, I think this, like I said, it's trial and error. It's just like playing around with it until you're kind of happy with like how it's sitting on top of like whatever's underneath. And if I move this above this, you can get a far more like balanced sort of line gray line.
That actually did make a pretty big difference.
And then again, I feel like you can. I don't know. It's just I just really like how that looks, and I've honestly done that in my work for years. Like I always just remember like having that. It would just be so frustrating whenever like I designed like a container or like a modal or like a button or whatever, and whenever that part of the UI was sitting on top of like other content, and the underneath content would then conflict with that stroke. I just always remember going like, that's so frustrating. Like that's not how I intended to design that, you know. It's like I like I said, I just feel like that treatment just always it just feels better to me. Like I just enjoy like how everything just like bleeds through rather than there being sort of like a hard cut off and like a harsh kind of line, you know, like a hard solid stroke.
Yeah, that's making a lot of sense to me. I'm gonna take it just for even for more context. Also, maybe on your scene, I think we need to move the videos to the center so it doesn't, because we've been like playing with that bottom right UI.
Yeah, let me do that. Jamie, where should we go? Bottom left or bottom right still? Because I feel like the layers panel we're getting away.
Yeah, I honestly the top might be actually the move. Top might be.
Yeah, let's go for that.
Something that I've like, I don't know if there's a good solution for this, but like the dark mode one, I've been trying. Oh, maybe I broke this one. Oh dang! Hold on. So I have a nifty little panel container shadow, which gives me. I think I was doing this, which is maybe not the move, but I have it set to inside right now.
Right.
And then this panel container shadow gives me, I think, like an extra large shadow with this spread here.
Right.
This part gets disgusting. I hate that. Don't really know what to do yet there. But I am enjoying, oh gosh, look at that.
So
here too.
I know what you
trying to do.
Yeah, because obviously I feel like if you remove that outer dark stroke there,
that's the shadow. Like this. Hold on, I'll zoom in.
Yeah, like the outer dark like line there.
You're talking about
like,
that?
Yeah. So if like, I mean, because that's so if you zoom out and show like how that's sitting on like the rest of the UI, like it looks okay for now, but like what if this background is like a much lighter color, you know?
Could
then
be literally anything. It's
difficult because like you're trying to design, you know, for different like where this is in context, you know, and you're never going to be able to like design it, you know, perfectly for every scenario. But yeah, I feel like the I know what you're trying to do there with like the darker, you know, the dark stroke. I think like right now this like inner border, like let me see if so I feel like this could probably be like less again. Let me see, and then
I'm gonna make us play on hard mode here just for context. Oh, never mind, I don't have it. Oh, hold on, I'll get my other computer.
Yeah, so like shadows are tricky, especially when you're designing for both light and dark mode. Like there's, like I said, I feel like you just need to be, you sort of kind of have to inevitably have to be more detailed when it comes to like designing for both, you know, rather than having like the sort of like, you know, here's the styles for both, you know, like that just translate to each.
Yeah. I'm going to give you control here. Are you using, see, you do this crazy thing that stresses my OCD self out where you do the opacities, but you use like middle contrast gray opacities instead of white or like off black. I never know what to do. Like, but it's clear.
Well,
you obviously do that consistently.
I was actually using yours there. I mean, again, it just comes down to like whether what product it is you're designing for, and again, just I mean, I change all the time. Like I do use like full color sort of inner borders, or I'll just go full white with lower opacity. I guess it just depends on like the sort of palette that I'm using or working with.
Yeah. I'm making, literally today is the day I want to finalize this palette and put it into code. So everything's on the table.
Honestly,
for like
I think like
6 more hours.
Yeah, honestly, I think like I really love the greys that you're using. Like I said above, like I feel like this blue button just like really, like I love how that looks on there. This button again, I think you've convinced me on the 0.5
Really?
strokes.
Yeah. Okay, that was one of my questions, was if you were still feeling because I think what you did was equally awesome with the I don't even know what to like that like inner shadow treatment. I'm actually gonna while you're still screen sharing, I'm gonna pull up an example of something that I was wrestling with.
I feel like we're missing our faces on my scene.
I think I messed that up. Oh, man.
Yeah, so there we go. Right, we're good there, but where's our faces went?
I think I broke something while trying to move it away from the bottom right. Oh, there you go.
Wait a minute.
Nice.
I just had to click it again.
But now you have to. Can you move our faces to the top?
Oh yeah.
Then?
Yeah. So
cool.
Customize and top. There we go. There we go. Right, cool. There we go. We're back in action.
All right. Let me get something. Keep going. Oh, okay. Actually, I'm just gonna pull it really quickly. This is like, I think, where I was feeling the decision the most. Which, right here, where I'm like, I actually love both of these, like a lot.
Yep.
But it felt like whatever decision I made was here. This would be the decision for the like preview cards, for the buttons. I mean, it's everything, right? Like this is like a fundamental decision of the design language. And I stared at these two for too long because I think they're both equally cool. But this was kind of the line in the sand for me. I'm actually curious if people in the chat have an impression of left or right.
Yeah, you went back and forth on this quite a lot on the last stream.
I know.
Yeah.
And I don't even care. Like the component itself is fine. It's just like, this has like the really hard, really defined edges, whereas this kind of has that, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a softer, more, not even a flat feel,
I think, yeah, like, is this in the, I was going to say, is this in the,
can you move it?
Can you drag this in?
Yeah. I'll bring this in. Let's just play over. Actually, I want to play in a realistic. It'd be like something like that, probably. I'll just detach this guy. Hey, really quickly, let me tell you about the all-new Dive Talent Network. I've hand-assembled over 100 of the most talented designers and builders that I know, so I can recommend them to my favorite companies. So if you're listening to this and you're open to new opportunities, the Talent Network is anonymous and super low pressure. I mean, it's just an easy way to see what's out there without having to post on social media. So if you're interested in joining, or maybe you're looking for your next hire, head to dive.club/talent.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the 0.5 stroke, like compared to this one. Yeah, I really enjoyed that because I feel like it's the same sort of kind of visual design language as some of like the other stuff that you've you've been designing, you know, so like it aligns better with the buttons that you've designed, you know, because that utilizes the sort of point.
But I could make the buttons work. I could make the buttons feel like this, you know? Like
that's what I mean. Not just like the consistency, you know. I feel like, you know, if we're just talking about like this single, like kind of button component idea here, like I just feel like this sort of kind of design language translates along the same line as the buttons, you know, and it just feels part of like the same UI, which is always good, you know. You want to make everything feel consistent.
Because I'm going to drag something below. Let's just do a little comparison really quickly. And I'll insert primary button. This was, I believe, the button we worked on last time that I designed with for quite some time. What size is this? 36. I want to make an accurate comparison here. This is kind of the decision in my mind where, man, dang, I like that. I hate how much I like the button on the right now, but I'm looking at it like, dang it, that's the one James made. I haven't figured out those shadows. I want to bring back some of them. The thing that was tricky for me was I almost felt like I needed different shadow values depending on the size of the component, because it looked really good on a 40 pixel button, but if I was going to bring it down to like 32, all of a sudden it was like really filling a lot of the button. Yeah, it was more intense. And I was like,
honestly, like, I
don't know how to crack this.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I don't know if I did this or you did this. You probably did this, but it looks a lot. Really? Yeah, I was going to say, like, I feel like mine was more intense. Like, I feel like the values of like you've done a good job at like making that less intense, like compared to like I always remember like the original version that I done. Like, I made sure like the sort of kind of gradient was like.
Maybe I did tone it down then.
Yeah, and honestly, like looking at the left button, like I know it's like it's. I mean, it's
sad
super.
Trombone.
No. I really like. I really like the. I mean, it's. I don't know. It's like I was just trying to go for something a bit different, and you know, like rather than just your typical sort of like linear gradient on the button, but like the I don't know, man. I really enjoy the like I said, the sort of kind of 0.5 stroke, like the one pick, like this sort of 0.5 stroke on the inner side of this button. You know, just think that looks really nice. And like I said, I just really like how that feels on the sort of greys that you're using. And I honestly, I really like it on that kind of secondary button as well. I mean, it just really works.
I stole that from you, my friend.
Much of that styling.
I think my secondary button was just like a opacity white. That was it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it looks simple, looks clean, and like I said, it really works with like these. And I think you had like other.
I had a bunch of them.
Like these, like this one. Yeah, I don't know. I think that looks really good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
I'll probably roll with that. I really like I'm going to rethink the strokes, and I liked your like dark spread around it, like adding that little more, like a little bit more contrast around the edge. I think I'm going to refactor it to go that route. And I think that would be pretty easy. Like I could just create a variable that was whatever I wanted it in light mode and whatever I wanted it in dark mode, and I could call it like button ring or something like that. And then I could actually hide it all together in light mode if I wanted to.
Right.
So
yeah, I think I don't know. I think if you do that across the board and just try like having that sort of like opacity across the outside and let the shadows sort of bleed through. Like even the same for like containers and stuff, like even on, you know, like even on this model, have you got like
I don't like it. There's so many parts of this that I like in dark mode so much more, and like all of the modals and panels and popovers are that for me right now. So I'm very open to ideas.
Yeah, I mean, even just like moving that to like the outside is just so much better. Like just because it helps.
Like you just moved it inside to outside.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, again, it's your weapon of choice. I actually don't know the difference of like implementation wise, whether you add a stroke to the outside or if you implement it in a way that it's a 1 pixel shadow spread, and then build the shadows underneath that. That's how I do it, and I very rarely use like a stroke on things like this. But I think
this is okay. So this is that same example again. So I'm gonna have to get a little bit creative with it, but like in dark, my intent was to have a style that I can use for any popovers, and so I'm doing that thing again here where I have the stroke, but then I also have the spread to give it like that dark edge. And so actually over here, what's happening is if I break this, I bet, oh, is this it? Is this it? Oh no. Hold on. Panel container, break this. Okay, there it is. So I actually have a spread, but it's lighter because I almost kind of wanted it to be invisible.
Right.
And then I was handling with the border. So you can see what I just did
right, okay.
there. Where I'm like, I'm trying, maybe I need to just not worry about making this so transferable between light and dark mode is a takeaway
that's like a perfect, that's like what I'm trying to say. Like I feel like you just, like for me, whenever I've worked on projects in the past, I always feel like there's never just a like for like like there is for some things, I'm not saying like that like that you have to like completely redesign dark mode completely, but I do think like there just is cases where you just have to be a bit more sort of thoughtful about how the container looks in a specific state, like this, for example, it's a good example. I just never try and overcomplicate it either, I think like this naturally just requires some like a sort of heavier shadow treatment purely to elevate it off like this, like this sort of kind of background context. For dark mode, again, it probably could do with a little bit more contrast in terms of shadows, but like I feel like maybe even like this overlay, like how do you use these? Like just
break it.
Yeah.
I can make that value whatever I want.
Like I always go always a bit darker just so that there's the contrast. Like you want this part of the UI to stand out, So
I have a second variable. Oh, see, is this too dark, you think?
No, I don't think so. Like I've been doing this on like a project that I've been working on for a while called Restream.
Really?
And like I always go like, as long as you can see some sort of context underneath, it just helps kind of contextualize this sort of mode on where a user is and how they're actually using this. But
I might add a third bar. I'm making a note. I'm like looking at this. I'm like, I can't do it. It's too dark. I'm gonna take it down a little. I'm gonna find a middle ground, but noted on the other one.
Yeah. Again, just like I just think the most important thing is just like contrast here. Like I think originally you had you had like this, was it? Yeah. I just feel like this background like blends a little bit too much with this,
What did you take it up to like 70? Maybe 80?
I probably took it up to like 80, yeah.
Okay, all right.
And it's probably hard to tell because like this fill behind here's dark, but
no, I think I think I already like that more.
Yeah, I think that feels fine. Like I said, the most important thing is just contrast there, and I feel like that works a little bit better.
I'm gonna zoom in on another piece then. So how would you handle this input then? So I have right now. I'm just gonna duplicate it. I'll hide it for later. But I have actually have an inside transparent stroke and then inner like inset shadows here.
Yep. Again, tricky one to design. Like I said, inputs for light mode, dark mode. You've obviously went for this sort of kind of like inset treatment, rather than it being maybe just like a kind of background with like a simple stroke. But again, to translate that to dark mode, I mean, I think right now probably feels a little bit too high contrast. Like, let me just, I know you're gonna like shout at me for like messing around with like opacities, and I don't mean to like use opacity, but I can just like grab the color.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
But let me see, like I'd probably go like in there somewhere. Like, okay. Don't mind the styling, because I feel like for the default on dark mode, you could probably get away with something like that. But then you've obviously got the opportunity for whenever this is clicked to then go darker, just for again to highlight it a bit better. Maybe like this probably feels like a lot closer to like maybe a clicked state. So for example, if like this was like, I don't know, like just like messing about, but like if you had like a, it feels a lot, that feels closer, that background, to like a more like an active state rather than it just being like a default input. So again, yeah, I usually do this exactly what I'm doing right now, if just to try and like get like a sort of scenario that I'm happy with, and again, playing around with opacities, like trying to get it as close to like my color palette as possible. And then when I'm happy with it, like trying, how does the active state look? How does like the hover state look? Like, does the text change when you click, when it's active, like things like that. But yeah, that's how I would
border. How would you handle this border? Right now it's just using opacity.
Yeah, I would do the same. That's how I would treat that. Like what have you got, like is it an inside? Let me see. Yeah, so you've just got like an inner. Well, again, like I'm trying to think, like if you had this stuff like scrolling, are you gonna have like this stuff scrolling under that?
Yeah, I just have like a CSS mask, but it's gonna kind of start like fading, like.
Oh, right, yeah. So if you've got that, but like what I always think about is if there's underlying like context that's maybe going to scroll underneath that, and there's potential for like these images to be like let me try and just like play around with this right now. Like see that, for example, like if the image, like if this image was maybe like going to come into contact with this like stroke or whatever, it just kind of feels a bit weird. Whereas I would probably prefer maybe like the outer edge to be like opacity of some sort, whether that's like a white stroke or a coloured stroke or whatever. Just because I always just like to, like, I don't know, it just feels like muddy, and it just feels like but I mean, it's probably a terrible example to give to mention.
I'm actually like wondering why I did inside here. I normally would do outside.
Is it maybe because the height of the input, like you're maybe trying to like match that with the because I feel like that's important as well. You want to make sure that each of these, like obviously this and like the button size and stuff like that, is consistent.
Deselect this for a second. All right.
Yeah, sorry.
I feel like if I was being consistent, I'd probably do the 0.5 pixel outside.
Yep. And you see how that like bleeds through there now, and it just like it's really silly. Like I don't know why I do that, but it just feels better to me. Like if everything like bleeds through and there's no real sort of kind of harsh like conflicts. Whenever someone's scrolling through something, or if like a container comes into contact with like another part of the UI, it all just feels as if like it's layered on top of each other, and there's that sort of kind of like bleeding. There's that sort of kind of bleeding shadows throughout. I don't know. It's just like something that's like ingrained in my brain at this point, and it's like hard to like dissect it. You know what I mean? Like it's just something that's like rigorously something that I've done for years, you know.
Can I take a hard left on?
Yes, let's do it.
And kind of get out of component land for a second and get in a little bit more creative. I want to switch to something that's like, I don't know, there's a bunch of crazy UI over here that we can bop into if it makes sense. But the thing that I really selfishly want to get your help on, but also just kind of understand your process at a higher level, is how you think about empty states given a product, especially if you've inherited a product that, you know, that doesn't have like a ton of brand moves out of the box, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously we're playing in, you know, B2B SaaS land, but it's for designers. I want it to be fun, beautiful, or at least just look like I cared, you know? And right now I got nothing. I've just punted these linear tasks forever. So I have nothing in the inbox. I think it actually has like one line of text that we just wrote in code. And then this is, you know, when there's no feedback yet. And I think I actually just changed this yesterday in code. It roughly looks like this square and a flat, boring icon though.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, you know, this is 2 examples, but there's probably 14 of these throughout the product.
Yeah.
And so I have this desire to figure out what is my underlying visual language for empty states? How do I make them the right level of interesting? Just basically, how do I make it not what it is today?
Yeah.
And you have some of my favorite empty states on all of Twitter. So if you were inheriting a project like this where nothing really existed, you know, you didn't have a ton to pull from other than maybe like, you know, the logo and the colors and some rough style guide textures, maybe, where would you even start? Like how would you think about this design challenge? And I'm going to toss it to you.
Yeah. I think like, you know, I think there's a few different ways that you can go about it. I feel like, you know, first and foremost, I always just try and keep it simple, right? So like you obviously want to give the context, you know, like and make sure that whatever empty state it is that you're working on, it's like get the relevant sort of like leads out of that state, so that obviously there's a way back for a user to you know, figure that out. And like how, you know, I guess depends on the context, but from a design perspective, like I said, I just like try and keep these super simple. I like obviously things like this where, you know, you're giving the user some sort of like context to sort of lead them into like another action. So like, you know, for example, like this is like obviously the feedback, and you're almost encouraging people here to like leave feedback, you know. So you know, things like that are like clever and smart to work in. Obviously, you know, I always kind of overdo it sometimes and like try and overly design like illustrations and like icons and things like that. And I just think like it's just, you know, they're just so much more fun to design.
It's so much better. It's so much like if you feel the quality of the product, like there's like this intrinsic thing that happens with it.
Yeah. And I understand, like, you know, sometimes you just don't have time to do that sort of stuff, and it just doesn't make any sense because, let's be honest, you know, how many people are really going to see that? But like you said, it just adds that level of like kind of like a premium sort of like feel to the product and the design overall. So like, you know, I would always just like to spend like whether it's an hour or two like working through sort of like empty states whenever I need them, and just try and like, you know, try and come up with a design that makes sense for whatever empty state it is. So, you know, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with like this sort of like design here. You know, I think like you've got the necessary stuff there that, you know, helps contextualize the like what you're trying to do here. But yeah, I feel like you can either you keep it simple or you can like, you know,
I want to crank it up. This is the simple. It kind of a little bit gets the job done, but like the reality is I just used the phosphor plugin and dumped them.
Yeah. Of course.
Like I didn't do anything here. Like, this is 3 minutes and I think it looks and feels like 3 minutes. So what would you start playing with, or how would you think about just turning up the dial a little bit? What things would you start?
Let's just jump into it, and we can try and mess about. Again, I just try and figure out the correct sort of, like, obviously you've used like, this icon here, which makes total sense. So we could like play on that a little bit better and maybe try and like, capture a kind of bigger part of like this sort of kind of overlay here. So, I would probably do something like, let me just grab this shape actually. In fact, make it a little bit more kind of in your face and obvious that it's there,
Already, I'm just like, whoa, I would never have reached for the pen tool for this design challenge. We have split.
The pen tool is fun at times, but can be horrible to use and most of the time. So yeah, I'm just like racing through this, but like,
you're good. I'll let you jam for a second and just give a little context, because Josh said maybe use an example of what a feedback card would actually look like a metaphor for it, which is something like I simultaneously think this is a fantastic idea, and it's something I've struggled with, because it could be a lot of different things. Like you could add, you could drop a pinned comment on a mock-up, for instance, or you could type a time-stamped comment in response to a video walkthrough, or you could record yourself and give video feedback talking through a prototype or a series of prototypes even. So I'm like, it almost can do too many things, where I've struggled to even figure out like what's the right thing to showcase. And then my brain goes to, okay, well, maybe there's some kind of a composition that can show, like, give an idea of the total capability. Oh, you can do all these different kinds of things. And that's where I get to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that later. And I'll insert the phosphor icon now and figure it out. But now I'm like, I'm trying to send like a bunch of beta invites tomorrow. It's the time to figure this out. It's kind of now.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like, I've seen empty states where they almost like have like the UI, of, feedback, but like the opacity is like super low, and like you kind of get an idea for like how it actually might look. So yeah, that's a good point. I think like that's another good way to do it.
This is again delightful what you just made that quickly. I'm very impressed.
I just copied in the same sort of like styles from.
It's that secondary button, like, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just copied in like the style for this, like this sort of draft. But again, doesn't have to be one for one. If you probably get away with it, but like you could, play around with the styles a bit better. Like maybe there's like another one that's maybe just a bit smaller.
It's one of those. Just click them all.
Yeah.
That's always my approach. Yeah, that's nice. Did you just do that with
I just like
you just moved
that shape. And
okay.
Took subtracted the the shape from it. See, I've been getting, what have I done wrong here? Oh wait, I think there we go. don't know why the stroke removed there. Thought I was going mad. Yeah, just maybe something obviously a bit. I mean, this is probably the easiest.
I'm genuinely impressed by how quickly you just did that. It does look way better. I probably will put it into code in like an hour. I think what's interesting about this is it's so repeatable too. Like it's just enough to look interesting, but I could do this with any icon.
You could probably like design what I've did in the past is like just design like a bunch of like relatable icons depending on like the empty state. So like I've just like went through the product and then realized, you know, we need an icon for this and this and this, and like the kind of easy option is just to grab all the icons or kind of illustrations that you need and then just like put together a consistent set and batch of like icons that you can then just like slot in and then, you know, just kind of do what you've done here and keep the text as obviously the main sort of informational part. But yeah, so like if we were to do like say like for the inbox, you know, like unread, you could probably do like probably just like again the same. Like this is what I would do, like just draw like a envelope or something, you know.
Dude, I can't believe how you just reach for drawing it. That's like I love it. I'm jealous, you know. I would never be like, yeah, I'll just draw this icon that I need really quickly.
Oh really? You never draw any of your icons?
Man. I never draw icons.
See, I've got like this weird OCD thing where like I need to draw like my own icons, or else like I obviously use like icons, like I've used like Iconist a lot because they've got like generally a really good sort of like icon set that you can pretty much use on any product, you know. But yeah, whenever I'm designing like projects for like clients and stuff, I usually design pretty much all of them from scratch.
It's pretty awesome. I think I've basically just opened up the Phosphor plugin for 5 years now. What about Andy's point here about bringing in blue as a way to just like reinforce some of the brand? It's kind of related to Josh brought it in too, which is like, can you add the in-flight logo here to reinforce the brand? So maybe there's a higher level question around how much do you want these to kind of be subdued versus like
exactly
brand elements?
So I would probably push back on that because like I feel like any sort of like introduction of like sort of the primary color almost feels like it's more active rather than it being like an empty state, you know. Like it feels as though like maybe it might be confused for like maybe a notification or something like that, you know. Like so that's why I always just try and like mute this sort of stuff. Like that's probably why like I reached for like the grey rather than it being you know, like if it was something like yellow or something, you know.
I mean, would you do any, like, I'm just going to mess with it real quickly because I have, actually, this is something I've been playing with. I don't know if you ever do this. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. But I like this idea. I stole it from somebody in that, and I think he's actually here. I meant to shout him out earlier. Yo, follow this dude on Twitter right here. He's the one who like set me up with a lot of the style guide stuff and helped me. So one thing that I've started doing from that call, which I think is kind of interesting, is I'll add a fill and then I have like a library and I have this, he called them glow. I've been calling them highlights. So you can kind of, it just makes it really easy to stack fills in a way that is standardized, and you can do like the color mix in CSS. But then I have like this brand highlight where you could make it really like, is that even interesting? Basically,
no,
like
I like that
just a little bit.
Yeah, I think as long as it's like muted, you know, I feel like if it was like something like that, you know, like this button,
I mean, you could do less.
Yeah. But yeah, if it's muted, you know, I think that as long as it's like sort of
still great.
Low contrast, sort of styling. Again,
would you Did we decrease the opacity of this? Why did you decrease the opacity of this?
Yeah.
Would you do something like this, or would you stick with the monotone?
I mean, I don't mind it. I think like you could probably get away with like
James. This is a yes or no question.
I actually don't mind it at all, either or, because it's muted. You know, like
it's not a yes or no answer.
But it's like muted enough that it's not like in your face. You know, like I feel like I probably would apply the same style to this and then just like lower the opacity.
Okay.
You know, so like if you apply the same sort of thinking for that one rather than like using two different styles there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like again, I like how it introduces like part of like that sort of like blue that is throughout the product, but it isn't like in your face, you know? It still works as like an empty state.
I'm like, I don't know. I kind of almost like the chrome a little bit more. The more that I look at it, I think it feels like a sleekness to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine, Andy. You're a good designer. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I think you're good at the craft.
No, it's very good point. Like, did you just grab like have you got like different
Dude, I have no idea where that arrow came from. And it's the only one. I literally, dude, look at this. This is, I guess I am sharing my screen still. I have somewhere in here. Look, it's just one. It's just one rogue arrow that I don't even remember where it came from.
You have to like just use that in the product now.
Yeah,
somewhere.
We had it in the old version. I'm tossing it back to you. We had it in an old version, and then we just kind of like, because originally it was going to be very hand drawn. Like we're going to do like a lot of like low fidelity hand drawn stuff, and we kind of went away from that. Except that one arrow is still in my UI kit.
Yeah, that's got to just make it in there. I'm trying to think what else I can do here.
I was really nervous that you were going to do something that I couldn't replicate, but I'm like, I think I got this, which is making me happy.
You've got it.
So it would have looked dumb if I would have blown up the icon. Like if I would have just blown up like a phosphor icon this size, it would have looked pretty silly. This is just enough visual treatment where it looks artistic.
But you could probably like, what did I do with that fucking icon? Did I delete it? Because I'm an idiot.
I'll bring it in.
You can bring it in.
Yeah. Like it's just in my plugin.
If you're but if you're just like, you could just like use the icons as well and just apply this like a style, like, you know, that's another really if you really don't want to spend like an entire like day like trying to like design a bunch of icons, you know, like there's just that, like you could probably just get away with like applying.
This looks so much better. That's so annoying.
You know,
I don't know. That's not bad actually. It's still interesting.
Yeah. Again, just like trying to, like, just like something that I always try and do is like just try and make something that little bit more interesting than if it's just like the default, you know. So like anything, you know, like I think if that's what I would do if I just didn't have time to do and build a big icon set, you know. If you really like an icon set that works, just like jump in there, change.
What's funny is like now over 1,000 people are on this, and if any of them use InFlight, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, Red just used phosphor."
Yeah,
they're gonna so clearly know that I totally punted this exercise.
Oh man, it's brilliant. I'm gonna jump for a quick pee. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Is that good?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll take over and riff. I'll look at the chat if anybody has random questions too. This is a good time to, because now I'm like already thinking about how I would. I got a lot of updates to make on stuff like these borders and inputs and stuff like that. Oh. maybe I'll talk you through my token system. Maybe that's interesting. So I'm basically making a bet on the fact that design systems are cool again, and they're actually helpful. And I feel like this is something that I've really noticed even just on the podcast, where like 2 years ago, I don't know, it was kind of cool to hate on design systems and they're not needed. We're going to move fast, all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of get it. I do think that having a set of pretty robust, like atomic components is really, really valuable, has always been valuable. But all of a sudden, man, everybody I talk to is doubling down on investing into their design system. Like it's like every single episode where I interview these different design leaders, and we're talking about different sizes of companies too, where like small design teams even are investing in it. And you can kind of, at least in my opinion, see where the puck is headed. And AI is basically as good as the inputs that you give it. And so all of a sudden it feels kind of high ROI, even for myself, where we have 2 designers at InFlight. It feels high ROI to invest in really high quality inputs, because then I can just spin things up with Figma MCP and all these different prototyping tools. And so what I'm doing is 2 parts. One, I'm going to go back and fix things after this conversation, but I've really sweat the details on my core, like buttons, inputs, that kind of stuff, trying to get the styles in a way that makes sense. And then the other thing is the whole time have had, I'm in the wrong file. Let's go here. The whole time I've had these primitive colors, which is basically just like I've reskinned the tailwind ramp and added like oddball numbers when I need something different. But now I'm taking the time, and I'm like probably 80% of the way through the process of investing in a semantic color system where I can actually say like, okay, how do I do containers? How do I do fills? How do I think about like, here's my overlay, right? Like I've realized I need probably a third overlay. And then what are all the ways that I'm going to do text and borders and this kind of a thing? And the goal is I really want to kind of obsess over having perfect parity at the token level between Figma and design, so that I can more fluidly hop between tools. Because yesterday I was doing a bunch of design work, but it was all happening in Cursor and Claude Code. And I want to make sure I have like those same inputs regardless of where I'm working. And so I'm kind of taking this way more seriously than I have in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and pause there now that James back. We gave this spiel, and we can keep jumping into more creative things.
Yeah. So I think, we just left off before I jumped away. We could get away with like using like an icon set, blow it up, like scale it, like just try and add like some form of like consistency, whether that's through some of like the shadows treatments that you've used, or like I said, I just implemented like this style, like from one of these little labels buttons here, and it's just a good way of like reinforcing the sort of like visual design language that you're using throughout the rest of the product. And again, it just like bleeds through into like small things like this that you don't think really matter, but like, someone will appreciate the sort of consistency, and it fits the rest of the UI. So I think that's like a good way of doing it. That's what I would do.
Do you get tempted to keep going? Like you've made the interesting icon. Do you feel something in you right now that's like, I should add a little bit more, or like some kind of like a background pattern or gradient at the bottom, anything else basically? Or do you look at this and you're like, yeah, that works. Like I can and maybe should draw the line right there.
Yeah, I think I try and just simplify as much as possible. I feel like you could go like either side of the spectrum. You could like keep it pretty simple like this, or you could like involve some sort of like, you could involve some sort of like illustration here that sort of like maybe you could add some like motion and animation to like, you know, I don't know, maybe reinforce like the feedback or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I always just try and simplify as much as possible, especially with empty states. Like I feel like, I don't know, like, is motion really required here? Like, is you know, is any animation? Like, yes,
I could picture like a pulsing. Maybe as soon as you said that, I was like, interesting. But I just like subtly pulse this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like even something subtle like that. Again, just simplifying. You could probably get away with it, but I mean, it's not really. I don't think it's really needed, you know. But I think like again, just like really subtle things like that can help just improve like the sort of overall premium sort of feel to your product.
Have you played with jitter at all?
I haven't, no, but I really need to. I really want to start playing
the FOMO about all the tools. This is all of a sudden like I would have never entertained the motion thing until I've started playing with jitter now a little bit, because I'm like, I could get that into jitter and I could make it pulse in like 2 minutes and then export a lottie, and I would just put that into code and I could make all of these lotties, you know, like it would be really easy. So I don't know. I guess I've been interested in that recently. This combination of more simplistic compositions, but just a dash of motion. Now that I know that I can do it, and also I'm not good at like drawing things, you know, like that's not. Oh, you're right. Yeah, Andy talked about like maybe dealing with the arrow even. I could have that point a little
like
bit. That's
animating.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, it's giving you context to where to go next, you know. I like that idea of like, you know,
like I need a new type of arrow. This hand drawn is probably not going to cut it once I I just copied and pasted the styles. Oh yeah, please draw me an arrow. Just This is like, you know, hanging out with friends, or it's free labor masked as hanging out with friends. Like, just know whatever you draw right now is going into production games.
I mean, it's like a 2-second like squiggle, but
Andy says he gets to remain being a designer now that you liked this idea. He's redeemed himself. Hey, while you do that, I'm going to address a random question based off of what I was talking about earlier, which is from Devagia here, talking about if I'm starting with a blank slate or if I have like a wireframed version of the system for atomic components. I'm just going to steal this really quickly. This might be a hot take, but like the last 15 systems I've made have used these exact same buttons with basically the exact same sizes, and the only thing that changes is like the corner radius and the color. And so I make these components basically day one in Figma because it doesn't take long, and then I just tweak the hell out of them as I understand over time what the visual language should be. Like these buttons used to be black and now they're blue, you know. It doesn't, then all of a sudden I have a single knob to turn whenever I make changes, and I can feel pretty confident that whatever product I'm going to be working on is going to have buttons, icon buttons, and inputs, and I think it's pretty much okay to just stop there. But I don't really see a need to wait because I can just tweak them over time and then have them, you know, update across to everywhere that I've used them. But I definitely don't go beyond that, because that's where you start to get into a little bit more rigidity, because I have no idea what the product's going to become. So random, but hopefully that makes sense. All right, James, we're back to your beauty here.
Yeah, I think I mean, you could probably just like something like, I mean, the arrow, I need to fix this, but like you could quite easily just add like an SVG animation.
Yeah, I was about to say you could just do an SVG mask too. I've kind of been doing a lot of Lottie just because it doesn't require anything for the engineer then, and I don't know how to do SVG. Maybe I could one shot it with Claude. I'm not sure. But it'd be cool. You could see it just like looping once and then staying.
Exactly. Like, I'm trying to see if there's a way like we could. No. Like, so I'm just trying to think, like, how does this, like, if someone was on like a really, really big screen,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, is that way over there somewhere, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna have to anchor to the panel. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes,
You know,
you are correct.
like,
I don't.
rather
I
than,
don't actually think I have any responsive logic.
no,
on
I've just given like, yeah, just like, you know, if this like right hand panels here, like the arrow almost feels like it's just like floating to nothing.
What
You know,
What are we pointing to? Yeah, let's hope people are
Yeah.
not on this aspect ratio, but you are correct. Where did you undo changes on the envelope?
No, I just like didn't finish it.
Oh, I thought you had like a little line there.
Yeah, I did, but I was going to try like let me try it just now actually. What am I doing here? Like, it's always, I'm always like torn between like what to, like, whether I do like an open.
You've probably done this exact same exercise like 20 times.
Yeah. But I feel like for unread, it should be open, because like you're basically implying that you've read everything, you know.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
like, for the
you're
right
right.
context.
You're right. I don't like this white arrow as much. No. Oh, interesting. I kind of almost, I don't know. This doesn't really make sense. It's not skeuomorphic, but I almost pictured it like indented on the top. But that doesn't. Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for like everything feeling like pressed in dark mode.
Oh yeah,
a lot recently.
yeah. You just want the right.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that shadow adds a lot. Dang.
Again, it always makes me nervous, like adding like extra layers on top of, like, because we just went for like a single shape here, but you always have to make sure, like, when you add like another sort of gradient, that it fits the consistency of like the other icons, you know. Because like, to me, like, I should like probably make this a little bit darker, but it just doesn't really feel right, I don't think.
Yeah, you really have to kind of think about this from a 3D standpoint, the more that I'm looking at it. Even with the gradient, like it lightening toward the bottom like that.
Probably. And then let's see it, and I should have actually been designing this over here, but whatever.
Yeah, all the same. This is kind of why I'm excited about this direction, is because most of my empty states really do. Like I've been using this idea of like panels or modals, like a consistent sheet style pretty frequently. Yeah, baby.
You know, it kind of like matches it probably.
That's nice, man.
Again, just adds like a little extra sort of something extra to it.
That was driving you crazy, huh?
I just
get it. Just get it out of you. Just do it.
Get things to them. You know, kind of.
Yeah, I dig it.
Could we get a wee shadow on this, maybe?
This is making me feel better about the more like hard-lined half pixel strokes rather than the glowy style, because I really like how it looks in these illustrations too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that might have looked better with like a.
I kind of digged it. That was cool.
Like a shadow.
Yeah,
but I
like it. I like the shadow. Did you take it? Is it there or did you take it away? Yeah, I thought it was
took
cool.
it off. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Let's see how it looks on here.
You ever see people do the envelopes where it feels as though the primary, like there's a primary color source inside of the envelope that is almost like blowing out of it?
Yeah. Like, like you could try. Like for that, I would like literally. Oh shit!
I think someone is in here that does this. Ilya. I don't know if you're still here, Ilya. I'm almost positive that you've done this with WAP before, and I have something saved somewhere in my Notion.
Oh yeah, I think I might have. I think I might know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I think I was picturing it as orange. About to find it.
I still need to play around with some of the new cut
draw.
Yeah,
like the cut stuff.
Some of the, yeah, like did you see that, the new Figma like cut feature? Like you can just
Dude,
like.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I see something like that, and I'm like, that's not for me. And I have a lot of respect for the people that look at it and like, yeah, that's awesome. That's going to save me so much time or help me in so many different ways. But
I mean, for illustrators and stuff like that, it's pretty.
Yeah, I'm sure. Cool, I'm sure it's a big deal.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Though it's pretty.
No, you don't know what I mean, James. You don't. You just custom drew all of these. Don't try to be on my team right now. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about it like that. That's like a longer light source.
I mean, it's like the dirty way of doing it, like just like a progressive blur, but then just like trying. You could probably get closer to like maxing
Can you even export that as a SVG?
Probably not.
Like, probably not. Yeah. That's for somebody else to figure out, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just here to make things look pretty.
Yeah,
I'm
I
totally
guess
gonna
just
try
like,
to animate this.
right. This is like the really, really horrible, dirty way of doing this, and I feel terrible for doing it this way, but I'm just trying to get it. I'm trying to get like the edges to be like crisp. So please, nobody do it this way. If you're gonna try this at your own admission. Don't ever tweet me and say James McDonald told me to do it this way.
Would you just not use masks the way that you did?
Yeah, so I was just basically trying to get like the harsh line so that I can get like the kind of hard line here, because it was like, it's hard to do with the progressive blur because it's still like slightly blurred at the edges. So like this kind of gives me like a way to like get like a hard line here. I mean, it wouldn't really be that because I'd probably add like a lot more detail like here and here because obviously the light would reflect there. But I'm just trying to get like the, like the right light emitting from here,
Yeah.
You could probably scale this maybe.
Yeah, if anybody uses in-flight, I don't know if they're going to see the light in this envelope.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just...
That looks cool, though, actually. It's
just
cool.
when you mentioned your the sort of kind of light coming out the...
Yeah, no, you actually got it
to...
You got it to a place that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'll hide it so that you can come back to it and try and...
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, I'd make mine more subtle, but it's kind of interesting. And I also don't feel as wary of using a primary color in this instance because it's not really stealing from anything. In fact, you could almost argue that it's a celebration moment. I don't know. It's not like an inbox zero paradigm necessarily, but I would be a little bit more open to having it higher contrast and command a bit more attention.
Yeah, you're right. You could probably... yeah, I wonder if we could... I really like this green. This green that you've used.
Okay. I put very little thought into those colors. I kind of just started changing the opacity on Tailwind defaults. So I'm like, I'm going to not kill that one. Because in my head, I'm like, I probably should figure out these colors. That's kind of interesting. Huh.
I mean, you could probably even... I'm trying to think of a way to... I mean, you could probably add something like... like as... I don't know, like a... you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a like call out, you know. I'm just like detaching everything, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know. I expect nothing less. What is that? The meme? The lion does not concern himself with styles or something. You're the lion, James. You can do whatever you want. I drop away. I like that. That's interesting. I don't know where to put it. Yeah, maybe that's better.
Yeah, I could probably play with the. Don't know what shape to go for here. Pure square.
I haven't been using a lot of circles. Sometimes it feels weird, so I have been stretching them more, like going like adding an extra 4 pixels width or height, depending on where I'm at, has felt interesting so far.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're kind of making me wonder. Like I'm gonna explore making that color the notification color too.
Right.
Have you ever done that before, where you just don't use the primary color at all for notifications? Like that's like the badge. Like here, I'm share real quickly. Somewhere, I have to have a badge, right? Brutal. Really? No badge.
I think I know.
Oh, here we go. Up here. So I kind of want to marry these, you know. Oh, look, this is a good example. I went 2016.
Yeah. Like
I should probably use the same color here.
Yeah, definitely. Like, so there's a correlation there, so that when
I might mess around with green. I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe it's crazy.
I like it. I'll give
it to you.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably add some of the.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't know whether I.
What do you got going on here? Oh, it's the drop shadow and the stroke inside. The classic 42% opacity.
Yeah. Yeah, I apologize for that.
No, man. Dial it in.
Yeah.
We're not messing around. We're not hunting this to multiples of 10. We're here to design.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I actually don't mind that. I think I like the idea of it keeping sort of like you mentioned, is sort of like a celebration rather than it being like a muted empty state.
This title, if there's a totally different title, that would almost make it feel better too. Like, if it said "You're all caught up," it would feel very different.
Yeah.
Talk out loud for a second. What made you want to try that? What are you thinking when you try something like that?
I think just to I'm still struggling with the color here, you know, like the kind of final, like I know it's like branded in a way that's not as muted as this, but it just still doesn't feel like in place, if that makes sense. So I mean, I don't know. I just
you think it would look too much to go back to the monotone with the green badge? I guess you already have the highlights on there. You got the almost. That might be.
Yeah,
That might
I
be
tried
too
that.
much.
Yeah, like I know what you mean. Like I've played around with like the opacity and stuff like that, but
what do you think about this? It's just too much contrast.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I kind of like it better with this. So there's this sort of it's connected somehow, you know. But yeah, that was like random.
I almost wonder if there's like, if you think about the badge itself almost as emitting a glow, like that, like gradient work that you were doing down there.
Yeah, you could probably
mess with this too.
You could probably add like instead of like the what am I doing here? What the fuck am I doing? I'm adding it to the wrong thing.
Oh, I was like, wait, I got so confused. How'd you get down here? I'm trying to get out of your way. I'm trying to reverse engineer your I just have no idea how these layers will work. Oh my goodness.
Well, all right, I know what you mean.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think I might pump that.
I need to switch it to my speakers.
Yeah, you're good. Your AirPods just die. We should probably call this in like, not that much longer. If anyone is still here that's been here since the beginning, that's insane.
Yeah, how do you even tell?
I don't know.
Like, props to people if they're still here.
Yeah. I guess we did start a little bit late. We're not quite at.
Yeah, that's true.
We should definitely not hit 2 hours though. Dude, help me for a second here. I'm about to share my screen.
Yeah.
How would you? Is this built in a way where I can where I can quickly tuck this? I was like really interested to see if I could make this be the source.
So I would. So yeah, I had like the mask there. So if you,
Right, hold on, I'm gonna toss it back to you so I can see your screen. And if this is just like annoying, then we can ignore it. But I wanted to try.
No, so like
figure out how to do it quickly.
Yeah, so like annoyingly, you have to.
Oh my gosh, what did you just do?
So the mask.
Oh, you just
this
dropped
is like
into the mask group. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I had to like you have to like group the.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
Thingy. I like that idea though. It's like you could probably add like a. You could probably add like a gradient, like in here.
Yeah, good idea.
Just to like tuck it in a bit better, but.
Check out what you're doing instead.
Yeah, I've not really changed much. I'm just like playing around with like adding
I like
some
that
sort of
technique.
like.
That's kind of nice. I don't do that really ever. Having like a separate line pretend to be the. Is that what you're basically just adding? You're like hacking a gradient border just in that corner.
Yeah, just so it kind of like it's almost like emitting. Because I did like an outer glow to this, and then I mean you could just if you really wanted to get fancy, you could like duplicate that and then like add another layer blur to like. That side, but yeah, not required.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know. I think I do think I like the green sort of highlight color for this empty state though.
yeah, I do too. That was a good idea. I would have never done that. And I'm kind of excited about having a separate, like there's just a color that is almost solely reserved, at least at the fill level, is reserved for notifications. Yeah. That's kind of interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that idea as well, where it's like peeking from
the reason I like it is because I could really easily
like animate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of just like slides up when you open up the panel.
Yeah.
Because this is already like there's already. Here, I'm about to see if I can just really quickly do this. What my tab doing? Okay, there's already motion. Like when you open this up, you have Like it's, it's already, it just kind of feels like it would be fun to have it slide in. I don't know. So I'm definitely trying to think of what that would be. Okay. This is getting shipped today, James. So
nice. You need to let me know. You need to send me like a link. Would you change like the?
Ooh.
Would you change this up here to match?
Oh, that's so. I don't know. I mean, the short answer is I don't know, because that pattern I'm using a lot. Like I have that underline. It's in the modals. It's in the feedback panels.
Like, how does this look then? If this is like just the primary.
Yeah, let's try it. That's actually a good idea.
Like.
Oh, it's the gradient. That's what you were
my dog like right there. So my window's open, but it's starting to get like super cold in here.
Wow. I'm trying to like. There's a second layer that I did.
Yeah. One's like the hard line, and then one's like the.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. I'm doing that.
The layer blur.
That's kind of nice, actually. Like I like the less glowy with this blue one specifically. All right, I'm gonna bring down this guy. What are you working on now?
I was just changing I was like taking the styles from the.
Oh, from the badge.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think color-wise? I mean, it's probably here. I should do the green just to have.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're using that same blue, I mean, I like the blue as well. I think the blue is cool. But
the tone of your voice says otherwise.
What annoys me is the fact that that's blue. The unread like underline is like blue, and then like that's green. Like I don't know. Just
it's insane to do green. I don't think it's insane. Like it's still the pattern itself is still going to feel familiar, and we're basically just saying there is a color associated with the notification system.
Yes.
That's like that's not. I'm not against that at all.
Yeah,
might be a cool thing actually.
Implement it and see how it feels. And
the green underline looks sick actually on this color scheme.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like the color. Yeah, the kind of green color that is against like the greys that you've used. I think it works really well. I think it's cool.
This is cool. There's something here, and I think I'm gonna play with the green, and I'll let you know.
Nice.
Should we call it? So
yeah, it's all good. This was fun again.
This was fun. Yeah, this was. I enjoy this.
Yeah, same.
A lot. This was kind of different too, because I feel like we got to get into a little bit more of the open-ended, creative.
Yeah,
just seeing you even use like pen tool and draw things like that was very different than the first one, and it's outside of my comfort zone. So I personally enjoyed it a lot. I hope other people did as well. So
yeah, it seems like there's people asking questions, and I've not had a chance to look through the chat. So
I've been keeping up with it a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool that people are interested and following along, and yeah, it's always fun to do these sort of streams. Really enjoy it. So
yeah, if you're still listening, you got to tell James how much you enjoyed it on Twitter so that he'll do it again with me.
yeah, no problem.
My iconography fate is in your hands.
Yeah, maybe we can jump back into more empty states or something. Continue.
Yeah, it'll be cool because if we do this on some kind of a cadence, or I don't know, it's like once a month or something, then I can kind of come back and be like, okay, here's what I did based off of the last time, and then we can kind of use that as a launching point for the next one.
Yeah.
We got to be careful. We're going to end up branding some kind of a second podcast for both of us.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope.
New YouTube channel coming in.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for hanging, everyone. This was fun. We'll hopefully see you again in the future.
Yeah. See you soon.
Before I let you go, I want to take just 1 minute to run you through my favorite products because I'm constantly asked what's in my stack. Framer is how I build websites. Genway is how I do research. Granola is how I take notes during crit. Jitter is how I animate my designs. Lovable is how I build my ideas in code. Mobbin is how I find design inspiration. Paper is how I design like a creative. And Raycast is my shortcut every step of the way. Now, I've hand selected these companies so that I can do these episodes full time. So by far, the number one way to support the show is to check them out. You can find the full list at dive.club/partners.